Let's talk about the new Major Holiday Face Palette from Patrick Ta Beauty. I have tried an eyeshadow palette previously. Love the shimmers and the mattes are really nice too. What really drew me in with this palette were these sparkly shades, and I've never tried any of the face products, though I have been really wanting to buy some of the face products since they came out. The cream and powder blushes. So here's what the inside of the palette looks like. So there are 2 cream blushes and then 2 powder blushes and then 4 very, very beautiful and sparkly eyeshadows. The palette is a limited edition and it retails for $65, which I don't think it's too bad for all the stuff that you're getting. Now the pink blushes aren't exactly something I would gravitate towards, especially with this hair color. First, I'm going to show you an application of the face products and then a tutorial, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go in with the powder first. So I think I'm going to pick up this and kind of put it back here, and then put this a little bit more forward, so kind of create an ombre blush. Using the Refer 5 brush, look how much picked up. I'm actually gonna just tap off a little bit and just really go in with a light hand on both sides, just keeping it back here. And then picking up the lighter powder blush. Oh, that is for sure very pink. Very pink. This one seems like it has a little bit of a sheen to it, actually. I'm gonna go back in with just a little bit of the brighter, pinkier blush and just bringing up here. Then I'm taking the synthetic brush from ColourPop and going into the cream, the lighter cream. And just gonna layer that on top. I've never tried these from Patrick Ta. I've always wanted to buy these, and that seems to be layering decently, but I'm trying not to go too blushy because I am going into the office. So I'm gonna be like a little Barbie doll. For the eye look, I'm just gonna bring in the lighter pink blush, the powder. I would never put the creams on my lids, those would just not last. Yep, there's definitely a sheen. I can't even see it when I put it on the lid. Definitely see a little bit of a sheen in this one. And I'm just gonna be putting that into the crease and a little bit onto the outer edge here. Just doing both eyes. Same brush, I picked up the other pink. And I'm just gonna pop that onto the outer edge. And then I whipped off my brush and I'm just gonna slowly blend that outwards. Here as well. Bringing it a little bit underneath my lower lash line. And just going back in. I feel like this one, I didn't get as much color payoff. Just going underneath my lower lash line. These shades are super sparkly, so I'm definitely going to be using the Finite Pixie Epoxy, which is just going to add some tackiness down onto my lid, so I have something for these to adhere to. And I'm pretty much just going to spread it all the way across my lid. Picking up this white shade, and it's going to go in the inner portion. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, yes. And then next to it, I'm going to go with the shade right above that. Oh, these are so beautiful. Very sparkly. Just the way they look on the lid, they remind me of the Pat McGrath Astral shades. And then I'm going to go in with that other shade that's right next to that light pink onto the outer portion right here. This is so pretty. These are gorgeous. I feel like I was afraid that they were going to be a little too dry, but it does really feel nice. And here's the finished look with mascara. These are so shiny and wet looking. I love them. So I did mostly buy this palette for the sparkly topper, like delicious shiny eyeshadows for sure. And I love that there's the different tones. There's also a duochrome. This one is a very duochromatic. It is so beautiful. Now the eye look that I filmed, I did not touch the pans yet. I just went straight in with brushes, and I do feel like it was super extra sparkly. And then the moment I put my finger in and I rubbed it, I feel like the pigment, I don't know what this pigment is made out of. You're pushing down on the particles, so they kind of flatten out, and you can really see that in the pans once you do touch them. It's just something about the pressure of your finger. So I would honestly recommend using a brush only and not even touching these at all if you kind of want the sparkliest application. I did use this palette again, and I used a brush after swatching my fingers numerous times, and I feel like it was still maybe a little less sparkly than when I had used it initially. I don't think it was necessarily an overspray. I really feel like it's just the type of pigment. It almost feels like when I first touched it, I always felt like it was kind of almost cooling to the touch, but it's still really shiny, and you just get a different effect applying it with a finger or something that will really flatten these out, because look how kind of really smooth they look with your finger. And that's what I'm saying, like there was some sort of phenomena going on where it was just flattening out the particles that this is made out of. And I'll be very curious to have another version of this where I didn't touch it at all and just kept using it with brushes. But of course that is not ideal for everyone. I'm sure that people will want to swatch it, so that is something to keep in mind. I'm still happy with it. I think these are still really beautiful, smooth, super shiny eyeshadows, and they're available at Sephora, which I think is great. So let me talk about the blushes. I did again use them on the cheeks, and I actually used this shade right here as a highlighter as well, which is so beautiful. And I did apply it with my finger, so it really just kind of smoothed out, and I could probably use these two other shades as highlighter as well. I really like the cream formula in here. I find it very buildable, which is something I prefer in a cream blush. The powder blush, it's so kick-uppy. Like when you put in your brush, there is just so much poof, very lightly pressed, which is nice because that means it does tend to be a little bit more layerable in terms of the lighter shade. However, this shade picks up pretty heavily, so I'm not really sure because of that if I'm really going to be using this blush right here too often. But I did really like the formula of this one, and I like that it just kind of really looked like it was smoothing out my cheeks, which I love that effect. So I would be curious to try like a shade that I prefer to use every day on the cheeks in this formula in a little compact where they just have the two shades. I'm happy that I got it, and I hope to see more like this. I also have the two loose pigments, which are not in front of me, but let me know if you would like to see a video on those. I'm very curious because they do have kind of bad reviews online. I might just include those in like a future super sparkly shiny eyeshadow kind of compilation video featuring shadows that are similar to that, or I might just do some reels. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. And that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.